After 3 years, the United States has lifted COVID restrictions known as Title 42. The curve allows U.S. agents at the Mexico border to turn away migrants from certain countries before they made a claim for asylum. Now, new restrictions have come into force. Anyone who illegally enters the United States can be expelled, facing a lengthy ban on coming back and possible criminal charges. More details in our next report.
During the midnight hours, migrants rushed across the border to enter the U.S., leaving behind their entire livelihood, carrying their children and swimming across a river, hoping they might be released after turning themselves in to the Border Patrol. But why? To have a better quality of life, a wish to live the American dream in one of the most developed countries. Trying to dodge U.S. officials, their effort to cross the border was in vain. U.S. authorities shouted for the migrants to turn back, telling them it was too dangerous.
There are no words, if you know what I mean, because it's hard what you go through there. You go with a dream and they bring you back. They treated us badly. They handcuffed us as if we were psychopaths. They put chains on our feet, on our bellies, on our arms, if you know what I mean. So it's something that makes you feel terrible.
These are the scenes at the US-Mexico border after the lifting of Title 42. Dozens of police cars are lined up in Brownsville in Texas. This area is near the entrance of International Bridge that crosses into Mexico. The security personnel are deployed to deter mass migrant arrivals. The new regulations require asylum seekers and other migrants to request entry from outside the United States. How that will play out on the ground remains unclear. For now, the Secretary of U.S. Homeland Security has said, and I quote, "Our borders are not open."
I don't think it benefits us in any way. Before we could reach over there, but now we cannot do that. They can deport us to any country. We don't know where we'll land.
Meanwhile, migrants in transit, many of whom climb onto cargo trains, were aiming to reach the border as soon as possible.
I spent over 3 months in Tapachula in order to get a humanitarian visa so I could reach the country's northern border. I got here recently. I found a lot of my co-nationals and people from all nationalities. Many people have told me they have been here for over 3 months. They have been trying to get an appointment, but they never got an appointment for the last 3 months.
Now that the Biden administration has officially ended the COVID-19 health emergency, which also means the expiration of a pandemic-era practice that began under the Trump administration. Title 42 ordered immediate expulsion of people trying to cross the border without allowing them to request asylum. With the ending of Title 42, White House officials are bracing for a surge of people to cross the southern border in the wake of these new changes. So one emergency has officially ended and another may begin. Bureau Report, WION World is One.
For more on this, we are being joined by Chris Richardson from South Carolina. Chris is an immigration expert and COO and General Counsel of BDV Solutions, which is an immigration consulting firm. Welcome to WION, Chris. Great to see you. Title 42 restrictions are replaced with new asylum rules going back to Title 8. It's meant to deter illegal crossings. Will the U.S. administration, in your opinion, be able to achieve what it intends to do at this point?
I think that they're going to achieve the ability to at least deal with the surge at the border, the immediate surge at the border. A lot of towns will be overwhelmed. They will be able to set up a policy of both carrots and sticks, both having processing centers in other countries, being able to allow people to come through alternative sources such as humanitarian parole. But ultimately, without immigration reform or some kind of comprehensive immigration reform, this is something that we're going to unfortunately be seeing have a huge impact on the United States for months to come, at least. It might taper off in maybe toward the end of the summer. But for right now, I think that we're going to see a huge surge at the border. And without some kind of comprehensive immigration reform, I think it's just going to be a problem for the United States.
And, we've seen some preparations being made along border states like Texas and Arizona, not so much New Mexico and California. But at this point, it seems across the United States, all cities are border cities. Do you think the United States is prepared for something like this?
Absolutely not. And unfortunately, we've had a lot of time to prepare. This Title 42 was a temporary provision that was first put in place by President Trump and then used by President Biden. And so there's been a lot of time to prepare for it. In that time, Congress and the White House could have worked together to come up with common sense solutions on immigration that would have lessened this desire of people to cross. But unfortunately, we've just been governed by gimmicks and band-aids as a country. And that now is bearing fruit on the entire United States. In cities as far north as New York City and Vermont and New Hampshire, they're seeing huge surges of people in their towns and communities. And unfortunately, unless we create or deal with our comprehensive immigration issue, if we don't find a way to deal and set up a comprehensive immigration platform or even like certain immigration reform policies, without that, we're going to see the surges continue across the United States.
Yeah, and here in New York, all the way from the border, we are expected to see 600 to 800 new asylum seekers a day after Title 42 has been lifted. Chris Richardson from South Carolina, thank you so much for joining us on WION, and we look forward to speaking to you again very soon.
Thank you for having me.